We often have a lot of hats to wear when we're running a club. And also, I want to talk about why people are coaching. Why are you coaching? Why did I get into coaching? If you care, but it's pertinent. Okay, so let's talk about why we got into coaching first. Um, One of the things that really struck me. By the way, I will be using my book Coaching on the Mat as reference. So if you do have my book Coaching on the Mat, I'll be bouncing around in it from time to time, reading some things. But also, you can get it online on our welcomematstore.com. And it's, I think, $15 or something. So it's not that expensive. And I hope you get it. I worked hard on it, and I think you will get something out of it if you are a judo or jujitsu or sambo coach. In any event, the reason I'm doing this video is because I've heard in the past young coaches, and they were generally all young coaches say this, not a lot of them, but some enough to make me, you know, raise my eyebrow. Um, that they didn't want to waste their time with kids who didn't have the ability to be a national champion. Their time was too valuable. Okay, and again, I heard a young man didn't say it to me. He said to a friend of mine, he said, I don't want to waste my time on kids who are going to be losers. And my friend told him that if he actually they knew each other quite well. He said if I had had that attitude, or your other coaches had that attitude about you, you might not have been around very long. And that's the painful truth. Okay, so I don't. I'm not of the opinion that if that one should only coach because he can coach winners. Okay, now if you're a professional sports coach, in the sense of you are an NBA coach or NFL or Major League Baseball or professional soccer or something else where you are working with grown adults who get paid a lot of money to perform in front of millions of people, then yes, your total goal is to coach winners, okay? And also, if you are training as a coach, if you're coaching competitive athletes, there's only one reason you enter a tournament, and that is to win. But that's not to say that you're going to ignore the vast majority of other people, especially children, if you're a club coach, that this doesn't mean you're going to ignore them. Um, like I said, a club coach has a lot of different hats to wear. Okay, nobody elected you coach. You probably own the mat you practice on, or you own the dojo, or you pay the rent for the dojo, um, and so you're the head coach and janitor too, probably. Okay, I don't know how many hours I spent cleaning my mats, cleaning the floor, cleaning where the dojo was. Okay, when nobody was there. Right. That's it. But that's the truth of coaching. Okay. So when you're a club coach, like we all are in judo, sambo, jujitsu, um, we have to wear many different hats. So we have to look at why we're coaching. So to that young man who said he's not going to waste his time with people who are going to be losers, um, I would disagree heartily. And if he's still coaching, I don't know him that well personally. Best to him. I hope he's changed his mind and kind of got his act together. Because honestly, that's not a good attitude to have if you're a coach. Unless you're coaching professionals, all right, grown men or women who can deal with it. Okay, but often as club coaches, we coach all levels: children, adults, teenagers, and we have to work with them all. Okay. I know I can look back at what judo is my initial sport, and then I got into jujitsu and sambo, but all of those, but primarily judo. When I say this, I always tell my students and tell others, judo was my ticket out. Okay, and it might have been your ticket out too. Um, it was the vehicle, it was the tool, it was the thing that impelled me to be a better human being and to be a better athlete and to stay off drugs and not hang around with the wrong crowd and don't do stupid stuff and actually get home and listen to my mom and dad. And that's what judo did for me. Um, I may not have been a great champion, but hopefully I'm a good coach, and hopefully a lot of the positive things I learned as a young man coming up, and then as an adult, I've been able to pass along to my students. And I know if you're watching this and you're a coach, you probably say, "Yeah, that's me too." Okay, so that's what we do as coaches. All right. That's kind of our mission, to actually help the total person, help a better human being. I'm not saying kumbaya or be naive or anything else, but you know what? Somebody needs to be that positive influence in a young person's life, and it could very well be you. I know that I'm certainly not perfect, and I've made my mistakes as a human being, but I have been a good positive role model for a lot of young men and women in their lives, and that great gives me great pleasure. Okay, and a lot of them still stay in touch with me. Okay, that honors me, and I know if you're a coach, you probably have the same thing going for you too. Get to my coaching book here. Um, and if you are looking at my book, Coaching on the Mat, I am now going to start working on pages 12 and 13, the traits that make a good coach. Okay, so I will read a bit here. Please excuse me for that, but I will try to get through this as quickly as possible, but not shirk it either. I want to be as explanatory as I can. Um, in any event, let me quote here on page 13. Judo is one of the most comprehensive methods of physical education ever devised. Jigoro Kano was a brilliant man. I've said this often, and you've heard this in my videos, and he gave us a wonderful gift. And I believe it's our obligation to teach the skills of judo to the best of our individual's ability. That also includes jiu-jitsu or sambo or whatever martial art you teach, and continue the work that Professor Kano started. With this in mind, there are some traits that make a good coach. First of all, let me jump before I do this. Your personality, and I will say here's the second phase here, the coach's personality. But let me say this first right off. If you're a jerk, really, and be honest with yourself, get out of coaching. Okay, please. Now, I may have offended you. I'm very sorry if I've offended you, but that's just the truth. Okay. Your personality goes a long way. Okay, we'll talk about that momentarily. You don't have to be, Mr. Goody Two Shoes or Miss Goody Two Shoes or whatever it may be, or the perfect person. We're certainly not all perfect. But if you have bad habits and bad attitudes, you shouldn't be coaching other people, okay, especially children. Okay, if you have a problem with various things that aren't good culturally, ethically, morally, get out of coaching. Okay, we've had enough situations where coaches have sexually abused, physically abused children or other people. We don't need them. Okay, so if you got problems, deal with those problems. I wish you the best, but don't bring those problems with you to a dojo. Okay, so that being said, let's get that out of the way. I'm not too, I don't have a lot of sympathy, empathy, or anything else good to say about people who bring their problems to the dojo and foster them, push them off on other people. Please, if you got problems, deal with it, but do it outside of the confines of coaching. Okay? All right, there we go. Number one, organizational ability. This includes such things as actual class organization, class preparation, advertising, recruiting new students. Well, that's important, recruiting new students. How often the club competes in tournaments and at what level. Or if you do have a competitive club, okay, you might have a self-defense club or a recreational club. Good for you. Do the best you can with what you got where you are, okay? You have which martial arts organization to join. Planning an annual awards banquet. You should have one. Have an awards banquet every year. Make it a club event. We do, and we have it for a long time. We look for it every year. It's wonderful. With the first Friday in December, the Welcome Mat Banquet. Been having one for years, and it's a big deal. Developing a booster club, getting donations for the team to travel, and all the other aspects of organization necessary for a successful club or program. It's a big job. Okay, you've got to have good organizational skills. If you don't now possess them, take an online course, take a class at a local college or university. Get some organizational skills. Okay, it's a job, and usually not one that pays very much, if anything, to be a coach, at least in terms of money. Okay, a lot of satisfaction. And like I said, coaching, I found through the years, I've often said this, we don't get rich or famous, so we better love what we do. We better enjoy what we do, okay? Because we're sure not doing it for the fame or fortune, all right? Okay, number two, the coach's personality. I mentioned this right off the bat. Personality goes a long way in coaching. I have known coaches who are excellent technicians but have the personality of a bowl of oatmeal. Okay, if an instructor's personality is unbending or inflexible, or if he or she can't work well with people, then that coach probably will never be much more than a mediocre coach. Okay, so you have to work with different types of people. Get good people skills, okay? Then on the other extreme, there are coaches who have great people skills but lack the technical ability or organizational ability to be effective. Another important point is that if a coach is weak-willed and lacks the ability to run a disciplined practice, then he or she is setting himself up for failure. It's important to be a friend to your athletes or your students, but it's more important to be a coach, just like a parent, okay? My father always told me, children are adults in training. And I've lived that all my life, and I've applied that to coaching. Those young people who have trained with me, they're coaches in training, they're athletes in training, and those children are adults in training. So I have to be part of that good process of training them to be good, responsible people, and also teaching them the great physical education skills in judo. But anyway, you need to keep a distance between you and your athletes. A friendly distance, but still keep your relationship on a professional level. Okay, so don't go out drinking with them, all right? If you are a coach and you have young men or young women in your team, you have your set of friends, they have their set of friends. Now, you can go out to dinner with them, you can treat them like sons or daughters in many respects, or surrogate sons or daughters, or part of your family, but don't get buddy-buddy. You can get too friendly, okay? And that's where things can develop in a wrong way too, okay? So we know about those situations. So keep a professional distance, and earn their respect, and by doing so, be a good role model for them, okay? So, and we'll talk about that as well. Let's talk about that now. We're not all perfect. I'm not a saint. I'm sure you're not a saint either. Well, you might be. So, okay, you're a saint. But at any point, I'm joking. But at any point, in any event, it's part of your personality. Like I said before, if you got bad habits or bad attitudes, don't bring them into the gym or the dojo. Okay, keep them away. All right, get over those bad habits or those bad attitudes. Become a better human being, and help your students. Okay, so you don't have to be a saint, but you better not be on the wrong side of the law or have some ethical problems, moral problems. You better be straight and narrow. Okay, so that's just the real deal. All right. I know that in the AAU we have a code of conduct for coaches, and in AAU Judo and our International Freestyle Judo Alliance for ranked belts. So we have a code of conduct, and we believe it. Okay, and I think that's important to have a good code of conduct. So your conduct is really important. So that's part of your personality. Okay. Third one is technical ability. A coach, I'm reading here, a coach should have a solid base of technical ability. That coach doesn't need to have won a world title or even a national or regional title, but that coach should know the skills necessary to develop students who can go on to bigger and better things. Okay. And maybe win that world title. Okay. I wasn't a world champion, but I've coached athletes who have been very, very good athletes, and in fact have won some world sambo titles. As a coach, I've always found great satisfaction competitively that they have gone on to do things I couldn't do or didn't do, and also professionally or in their lives. Okay, I have athletes. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I have athletes who've gone on to do that too. Now I've had other athletes who have had problems in life. That's the way it is. I've coached thousands of people, and you may be in the same situation I am, or you're launching your coaching career. But at any event, a good coach wants his students to be better than him, just like a good parent. A good parent wants his or her child to have a better life than the parent did, the parent does. So, and the same as a coach. I want them to do better than I did. Okay, so that takes good technical ability. I have to know my skills well enough to be able to teach them and teach them with confidence and to teach them functionally. Okay, don't. And if you've seen my other videos, you've read any of my books, you've attended any of my seminars or training camps or worked out with me personally, you know I'm a firm believer in functional skill. Okay, and it's fundamental. It's got to really work. Okay, as Morris Allen said, make the technique work for you. Okay, or as Sean Watson said, it's only pretty if it works. All right, so technical ability must be functional. Actually, some of the best coaches I have met in any sport are excellent teachers and organizers and good but not great at the technical applications of the sport. Well, often very high level coaches are exceedingly gifted technicians. Okay, now they may not be able to perform it to a world class level themselves, or maybe they have, but in any event, they sure know how to functionally, effectively get their students or athletes to do those skills at a world class level. And they should really know the subject. So if the higher level I coach, I need to be able to keep up with the sport. Okay. But also as a club coach, the club coach to me is the most important coach in the chain of coaching. Everybody thinks the best coaches are the Olympic coaches. That's not always the case. Sometimes that person got there by politics, and a lot of you have been around to know that. Okay. In my opinion, the most important coach you will ever have is that person at the club level who teaches you good fundamental skills and keeps you on the sport or on the mat in the sport, in the activity, and prepares you, builds that foundation. And that's why you should always have a loyalty to your coach. Okay. My initial coaches, were they world champions? No, but they were really good men and they were good, solid technicians, and they gave me a great start. And I will always be grateful to them. Okay, so that's what you want to be as a coach too, to be that person. And yes, go on to be an international coach if you can, but at the same time, your technical skills always and try to improve your technical skills and stay up with what's going on. Not the latest fad. Stay up with solid skills and information and education that will make you a better coach. So take coaching courses. Go to seminars and clinics. Okay, watch YouTube. Do things like this online coaching program. Get better as a coach, technically, and from a coaching, learn how to be a better coach. In addition to learn how to be a better technician. Okay, your students will thank you. Excuse me, I'm gonna get a drink here. Your students will thank you, and it'll give them a lifetime. It'll give them a gift for their entire life. Okay, if you're a good coach. So give them a strong technical base and also strong sportsmanship base. Teach them good fundamentals of the ethics of the sport. That's called sportsmanship. Okay. I want to go on here. Actually, some of the great best coaches I met in any sport, excellent teachers, organized, and good, but not great technical application of sport. But these people have the ability to teach what they know with exceptional skill and can convey thoughts through words, voice inflection, hand gestures, eye contact, and other means so that the students on the mat know exactly what the instructor is teaching. Okay. And this brings us to the ability to teach. I kind of talked about this already. This is the most important factor in a good coach. Coaching is teaching, plain and simple. Don't confuse good personality with coaching ability. They aren't always mutual. Yes, I did say earlier that good personality goes a long way, but the fact remains that some coaches are good guys, but can't teach all that well. Okay, however, good coaching, good teaching does have some element of personality to it. Obviously, it does. So a coach will find that working on people skills will enable him or her to be a better teacher. Okay. Some people seem to be born with a natural gift to teach and to gab like me. Others do not. Okay, others do have to try harder. Okay, uh, same way with athletes. Some are naturals, while others have to work harder at being successful. Even though someone may be a born teacher, it would do him or her well to study coaching techniques and learn how to coach and teach better and enhance his or own natural ability at teaching. Okay, the more a person teaches, the better that person becomes as a teacher and in his understanding of whatever he teaches. St. Augustine famously said many years ago, "Blessed is he who teaches, for he learns twice." And I'm a firm believer in this. Okay, think about it. You as a coach, and I've certainly my own experience, the more I teach something, the more I think about it, the more I repeat it as a coach, I'll be a better coach. Okay. I look back now at the way I taught a particular technique or whatever it may be as a young coach, and the way I have become better. I've become a better coach, a better technician. Okay. So it's because one of the reasons I understand it better, I've studied it more, but at the same time, I've taught it. And by teaching it continually, I really teaching it to myself as well. Okay, so blessed is he who teaches, for he learns twice, and I think that's good advice here. Um, and the old saying is the best way best way to learn is to teach. All right. If you're a coach of more than a few years, like I said, you can look back the way you taught a move or something when you were a young coach, and now you're teaching it better probably. Okay, you're getting more efficient in how you present the facts or the whatever the technique is, or what do you want them to do. That's just the way we are. Okay. Um, Another factor of being good teachers is the knowledge that your students and athletes will perform a skill better if they are on the same wavelength as you. If they understand why a particular technique or skill is done, as well as how it is done, they will perform it better and with more consistency. They will have a higher success ratio when they need to do it. Okay. One of the best teachers in the game of football ever was in professional football, Vince Lombardi. Again, a professional football coach. He coached grown men, but he came up as a high school coach and college coach as well. He said, I always like to quote, and I always like to quote him. He said this, don't just show them what to do, tell them why they should do it. Okay. So if they understand what they're doing and why they're doing it, even children, if they understand that, they will have more confidence in doing it and they will tend to do it better. Okay. They will know why they're doing it and they'll just flat out do it better. Okay. So that's really important. Okay. Watch this, guys. We're going to set up a different drill here. Okay. Kind of keep an eye on. We'll jump right into this. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and double lapel. So it's on me for a while. So I'm going to double lapel him. My job is I'm going to step one step to the right. Seoi-nage, one step to the left. Seoi-nage, uchi-komi. That's all it is. And then I'll do, like 10 on each side, and then he'll do 10 on each side. So we get a grip here, and he just cooperates with me. I just want to step in, uchi-komi. Step in, uchi-komi. Then we want him real fast, get a bunch of reps in. So watch Derek's plan, and he's going to step in, right uchi-komi, and then left uchi-komi. And what we want to do is nice full uchi-komis, but fit in full, and then come back and fit in full. So step and hit. We're working on a lateral or a side step to your seoi-nage in this case. Very good. And then same left. So he'll do 10 on each side. TJ will do 10 on each side. But we'll just kind of working on both right and left. We get good ambidextrous skill at your seoi-nage. You can do this with any throw, but we're doing seoi-nage right now. Seoi-nage is very good when they do it with, too. And there you go. So, because you never know. Seoi-nage is one of those throws. It's probably not a bad idea, but it will catch it on both right and left side. You never know the circumstance you may need it in. That's a good way to train on. So, right side, left side, lateral, uchi-komi. In this case, seoi-nage could be any throw. Okay, let's work on it. Do 10 each, 10 sides. So you do 20, he'll do 20, and then just change. Okay, let's go get it. In my opinion, the most important coach you will ever have is that person at the club level who teaches you good fundamental skills and keeps you on the sport or on the mat in the sport, in the activity, and prepares you, builds that foundation. And that's why you should always have a loyalty to your coach. Okay. My initial coaches, Were they world champions? No, but they were really good men, and they were good, solid technicians, and they gave me a great start. And I will always be grateful to them. Okay, so that's what you want to be as a coach too, to be that person. John Saylor and I used to attend the U.S. Olympic coaches, the U.S. Olympic Coaching Committee, U.S. Olympic Committee, pardon me, had a coaching conference, series of coaching conferences and coach education back in the mid 80s. Okay. And Bruce Toops, who was a great mentor of mine, by the way, thank you, Bruce. You're probably watching this video. Picked John and me to go to these coaching conferences to help us develop as coaches, and which I know John sincerely appreciates Bruce's efforts in helping us along. But in any event, we would go to these coaching conferences, and we were fortunate enough to hear Doc Counsilman, the great swimming coach at I think University of Indiana, I think it was, or Indiana State, and I think it was University of Indiana. Anyway, he was a great great swimming coach, coached a lot of Olympic champions, NCAA champions, all that. And Indiana University, I wrote down here. And he's deceased now, but he is a legend in coaching. And he was one of those positive guys, just like John Wooden at the UCLA, who I'm a great admirer of John Wooden and anything he has done as well. So, but anyway, back to Doc Counsilman. He brought out some stuff, and listening to one of his lectures and talking with him afterwards. He was a very nice man. This has always stuck with me, and I wrote it down as he said this. So this is to quote him, quote from Doc Counsilman: "The coach is the most important link in sports. If not for the coach, then the sport would die. The coach is the person who recruits people into the sport, teaches them skills and lessons of life, and can assure success or failure in society," unquote. So coaching is a pretty important deal. And in a link of chain of events and success and occurrences in an athlete's life, he's an important figure. Doc Counsilman went on to say that an athlete can succeed even if he has inferior training facilities, lack of financial aid or poor equipment, or not very good support from parents or friends. Okay. But if an athlete has a bad coach, then that athlete, what I was saying before, you can still succeed if you have all these other factors against you. It'll be tougher, but athletes have done it on many occasions. But if an athlete has a bad coach, then that athlete will be stymied from ever achieving his or her potential, either as an athlete or as a human being. A bad coach can do more harm to an athlete than bad facilities, no money, or lousy equipment. Doc Counsilman did put it all in perspective when he said this. Let's wrap things up here. Again, I'm on page 14 if you're following me in Coaching on the Mat. Something else I strongly believe are twofold. A coach can raise expectations and create opportunities. Okay? The phrase I caught onto, I don't know if I saw it, I dreamed it up, I heard it someone. Years ago, I heard the phrase, success is an ongoing process. And I have used that as kind of a motto or a quote in my life, and certainly my club Welcome Mat, that's our official motto. Okay, success is an ongoing process. And so what I'm saying here is, and what Doc Counsilman was saying, and what I write in my book, when we really get down to it, a coach's job is to help people raise their own expectations of themselves and to create opportunities. If you as a coach and role model expect a certain level of behavior or a certain level of expertise or skill, more often than not, your athlete or students will do everything they can to meet that level you expect and try to exceed it. If they don't, then talk to them, coach them, be honest with them, and get them to want to raise their expectations and then do it. The key here is to make sure the expectations you want them to meet are reasonable and something attainable. Okay. Also, you as a coach can create opportunities for your athletes and students. If you're a coach of a junior judo team, for example, do your homework and find a local regional tournaments where your kids can compete. Talk to the other coaches and arrange for clinics so that your team can be exposed to different skills and approaches to training. But if they're in alliance with you, make sure they're agreeable and it's something wholesome and good as well. Okay. If you have an athlete who is really outstanding, talk to your judo organization about getting this kid for training camps, further training, more advanced training. Okay. For more, like I said, for more advanced training. Not only can you help with training and competitive opportunities, you can talk to other people in the community about educational job opportunities, financial help, or anything to help that athlete, get on and succeed. As a coach, you wield influence. Use it to your team's advantage. Okay. And so create opportunities, raise expectations and create opportunities. Okay. And teach your students to raise their own level of expectations. Okay. So those are two, that's been my guiding. I actually heard that from a sociology professor of mine back years when I was in college. And that's what a good teacher does, I think. Create opportunities, but raise expectations, have high expectations for them that are attainable, and teach your students to raise their own level of expectations. Okay. Those are gifts you can give your athletes, whether they're competitive athletes, recreational athletes, or self-defense athletes.
Real quick, we're going to keep drilling, but here's why we drill. You know me, I like to read about stuff, I got a lot of books and all that. I was reading a lot of stuff about John Wooden, one of my favorite coaches of all time. And it was just renewing, I was just kind of reinforcing why we do some things we do. One of the things Wooden always taught, he said, I want my players, now he was a great basketball coach, has nothing to do with what we do. But he was a great coach. And he said, I want my players to be always, where they're in the habit of doing the right thing all the time. Athletically, we're talking about athletics. He said, that's why we drill all the time. He said, I want to make it so ingrained in their brains that they don't have any concept of doing the move poorly or incorrectly or sloppily. And that's why we drill. And I think that's one of the great reasons we drill train. That's why we do here all the time, drill training. So some people say, well, you got to fight more. Yeah, we do lots of rolling, we do lots of randori, but you got to train the right way every time too. Okay. And so, like Lombardi said, don't do excellent things once in a while, do them all the time. He meant that. That's what he meant. The same thing Wooden said. So don't be, we want it so you never think that how to do it badly. We want you to always think, do it correctly. You don't know any other way than the correct, most efficient, functional way to do that movement. That's why we drill. That's why we do the things the way we do. So that's what functional skill training is about. So I just want to, put that out there. We're, showing it to YouTube. It's a good thing. But now everybody, you understand why we drill so much. It's ingrained. It's automatic response, and it's the correct response for you. Each of them individually. That's why we work with you individually. So that's what it's about, guys. So when we drill, that's what we're drilling for. So kind of understand that, and then it makes sense to you why we're doing it. When we spend other time doing other stuff, but that's why we drill.